Take from the people, gift wrap it, remodel it, and then give it back. This sums up what's happening in Karnataka, where the government should officially, essentially add a sixth guarantee, the guarantee of hikes every week. And we're not even exaggerating. There's some report either of a price hike, of people feeling the pinch, or of the dire financial straits that the Karnataka government finds itself in. And in the latest jolt for Kannadigas, what will you have to shell out more for? You'll have to shell out more for power. Power prices will be hiked now. Starting April, power in Karnataka will be dearer. For every unit, and this is an example that we're taking here, if, for example, your bill is for 250 units of power consumed in a month, the earlier cost was 2,208 rupees per month. Now it will be from April 2,306 rupees. Essentially, 36 paise has been increased per unit. So it's 250 units. It sees about 100 rupees rise. So why has this been done? And this may seem nominal for some of you watching this broadcast, but imagine if you're consuming a lot more power, what it means, and club that with several other hikes that you see in Karnataka, which we'll talk about as well. But let's first tell you why this hike has been done. Because believe it or not, the government right now is in such a financial mess that they have no money to pay either pensions or gratuity. So the only solution now to go ahead and ensure pensions can be given, gratuity can be given, is to take from people to pay pension. The Karnataka financial mess is real, and this is another indication of it. Several times experts have warned that the freebie model simply doesn't work. Just look at this dire straits in Karnataka right now. It's a fitting example of how things have gone so wrong in the state. We can't help but wonder really how long the strategy will last of hiking prices of goods and then thinking they can sail through for a few more months. So listen now to how the Karnataka Energy Minister has defended this latest hike.
That time we have to give the pension and gratuity fund. That's why it was kept pending for a long time. Not in our government, it was there in the earlier government also it was there. Because there was a High Court stay was there. The FKCC people, they went to the High Court, they requested not to put on the consumers. But now High Court ruled in favor of the thing, ESCOMs. They can charge whatever the dues for the pension and the other thing, they can charge from the consumers. That's what the thing. And KERC has passed the order. It is not the government order. The KERC has passed the order.
Now, as expected, the BJP is lashing out at the Congress's hike model. And let's quickly play out for you some of the BJP reactions on this latest price hike, where they've said that this is Rahul Gandhi's Khatakat model that's been exposed in Telangana, in Himachal and in Karnataka.
I demand Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, he should learn a lesson from Chief Minister Umar Abdullah. He has openly appreciated central government, Narendra Modi government and Nirmala Sitaram for helping Jammu Kashmir to come out of the economic crisis. So what is the state of affairs in Telangana? His Chief Minister has admitted that their Telangana government does not have money to pay the salaries of the state government employees. So Karnataka's situation is not too far. Economic situation, financial position of the Karnataka is going from bad to worse. But unfortunately, Siddaramaiah is more busy attacking Narendra Modi government rather than addressing the issues here in the Karnataka.
Karnataka state government has increased the electricity prices also. The increase in the price, the reason they are giving is the government is supposed to give their part of the finances for the pension and the gratuity for the people who are working in MESCOMs and KPTCL. The government has failed to produce that money. The government has told that we don't have that amount of money with us. So they have increased the price of the electricity, and indirectly people of Karnataka are suffering because the financial situation of the whole of the power department has gone down the drain.
So this hike has been done to ensure that the government continues their timely payouts of pension and gratuity. This is the latest one that's been mentioned. But like I said, there's a long, long list. Every week you hear of some hike or the other. So let's break down for you all the times that we've seen these kind of hikes being confirmed by the Karnataka government to fund guarantees or to go ahead and make payouts like pensions and gratuity. February 8th last year, you had stamp duty charges being hiked by 200 to 500%. And then right after that, a few weeks later, an announcement that was made of lifetime tax of 10% on EVs, electric vehicles priced above 25 lakh rupees. On June 15th, fuel prices went up. Petrol and diesel prices were increased by 3 rupees due to the tax hike. And then June 25th, milk prices were raised. And this was a huge matter of debate. The government did say that, look, we're having to do this because we need funds. So Nandini milk prices were raised by 2 rupees. And then this year alone, again, there's a long list. In January, a 15% bus fare hike was approved. It came into effect a few days later. And this was approved by the government. The KSRTC proposed it. You had the government immediately agreeing to it, saying we're cash strapped. And then there was talk that there could also be beer prices hiked in the state, again because the government said we need more revenue. And then in February, just a few weeks ago, a 50% hike on Bengaluru metro fare was announced. This became a huge talking point, huge controversy, because almost immediately you saw footfall of the metros reducing, so that price hike was reduced by the government. And then on February 21st, the Karnataka Milk Body, the Milk Federation, proposed a 5 rupee hike in milk prices. Remember, I mentioned that this was already done last year. They're planning to do it yet again. At this point, it remains a proposal, but we'll have to see if it becomes a reality, in which case it'll be the second such hike of milk prices. And the latest now in that list, power tariffs being hiked by 36 paise per unit. So this is a long, long list of hikes. And there's a reason for it. It's because of the 5 guarantees that the Siddaramaiah government has announced. Let me remind you again that the government has said we have no money to pay pensions, to pay gratuity, and that's why they've increased power tariffs now. So why is it that they have no money? Because a whopping 51,000 crore has been allocated for the 5 guarantees announced by the Siddaramaiah government. This is based on the current budget. So 51,034 crores has been set aside in this budget for the 5 guarantees. The Shakti scheme, which is free bus travel for women, 5,300 crore for that. The Griha Jyoti scheme, 10,100. Anna Bhagya scheme, 6,426 crores. This is, of course, rice being given for, in fact, those who need it. But this is the only cost that's actually come down, because the Siddaramaiah government is procuring rice for a lesser cost now, knowing that they can't afford to spend as much as they do on guarantees. The Yuva Nidhi scheme, which is to help youngsters, 600 crore has been allocated for that. The Griha Lakshmi scheme, which is that financial assistance for women, it's a whopping 28,608 crore rupees, which is a monthly financial assistance for women, which of course is the highest amount of all of the guarantees. So that brings you to a total allocation of 51,034 crore. This number was much higher in the last budget, because like I said, the Anna Bhagya scheme, they managed to bring down the number. All of this money allocated for guarantees and freebies for you. But this money also comes from you. It's taken from you in the form of hikes, in the form of power tariffs going up, milk prices going up, metro fares going up, all of that being done to fund these guarantees. This is essentially what's happening in Karnataka right now. But also, mind you, it's terrible economics. Just doesn't work for a state like Karnataka, and here's why. We have the numbers also. The revenue deficit in Karnataka, again, this is based on the current budget, which just a few weeks ago, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah had tabled. A high revenue deficit is considered to be unhealthy for an economy. In this particular case, the revenue deficit is at 19,262 crore. I will highlight, however, that the revenue deficit fortunately has come down from last year, but clearly it needs to go way below this figure for it to actually be in a healthy state. State liabilities of Karnataka, look at that particular figure at 7,64,665 crores. This is primarily due to an increase in open market borrowings. Between these two figures, what's very clear is that, quite simply, Karnataka cannot afford to be spending 51,000 crores on going ahead and ensuring guarantees, because the economy right now of the state is a mess. It could get worse in the weeks to come, in the months to come, unless immediately something is done. And we're not talking about price hikes for sure. So adding salt to the wounds of Kannadigas. On one hand, they're having to pay more for power and for, of course, all the other things that I listed. On the other hand, on the exact same day, a bill has been introduced in the Karnataka Assembly to ensure there's a salary hike for MLAs, for the Karnataka Speaker, for the Karnataka Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister and whatnot. So let's tell you about that hike. Earlier, the Karnataka Chief Minister would earn 75,000 per month. Now, according to the bill that's been introduced in the Assembly, which by the way is going to be passed because I'm sure every political party agrees they need more money and somehow they'll all be on the same page on this, from 75,000, it goes up to 1,50,000. So you're seeing a 100% hike there. For ministers, earlier the salary per month was 60,000. Now it will be 1,25,000. And this has been sent across, put across in print in the bill that's been tabled in the Karnataka Assembly. For the chairman, the Speaker of the Karnataka Assembly, earlier the salary was 75,000 rupees per month. It will now become 1,25,000 rupees. The Deputy Speaker, similarly, 60,000 now to 80,000. So here at least it's not a 100% bump up like several others are getting. For the Leader of Opposition, so it's not just, one government or one party that's benefiting, everyone will benefit now from this hike. From 60,000, it will become 80,000 rupees per month, the salary. The Chief Whip in Karnataka, earlier 50,000. If this bill is passed in the Assembly, that salary will go up to 70,000. MLAs and MLCs from 40,000 to 75,000. Remember, it was the MLAs who said we need a hike in our salaries. Mind you, besides this, they get a whole number of perks, allowances. Of course, they don't have to pay power bills or any of that, water, power, all of those amenities remain free, as is always the case for legislators. So while you pay more for power, they get fatter salaries, don't of course have to pay for any of those amenities. All right, sticking to news from Karnataka, let's also talk about the other big story that dominated headlines, and particularly in the Karnataka Assembly, of a honey trap attempt, believe it or not, that's been made on a Karnataka minister. Now, Karnataka Home Minister G. Parameshwara has ordered a high-level investigation because this is a very serious matter. A minister, K.N. Rajanna, has admitted in Assembly that he is the victim of a honey trap attempt. He stated in the Assembly that it's not just him. According to him, it's not a question of one or two people, but 48 people, according to him, have been honey trapped. Their obscene videos have been made. In the Assembly, he says their CDs, pen drives, all of that is out there. I know I'm a victim, but there are many others who also are victims. And after he said that, in the Assembly, all the other MLAs started gathering around him to ask him, is my picture there in that CD? Is my picture there in the pen drive? So none of them know if they've been honey trapped or not. This minister says this isn't an issue that's limited just to Karnataka. According to him, national level leaders have also been honey trapped. And that's why Minister Rajanna, who made that revelation in the floor of the Assembly, has said that he's written a letter demanding an inquiry into the matter. He sent it to the Home Minister of Karnataka, based on which the State Home Minister has ordered an investigation. Now, leaders cutting across political lines have come together to call this a very, very serious issue and have demanded a proper inquiry. But what really was the intention of honey trapping politicians, ministers at that? We don't know just yet. Hopefully the investigation will give us some answers.
ಈ ಸಿಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಪೆನ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸುಮಾರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನನಗಿರೋ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಅಂತ 48 ಜನಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ರು ಇಬ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರೇ, ಇದು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮುಖಂಡಗಳು ಅನಿಟ್ರಾಪರ ಪೆನ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇದಾವೆ. ಆ ಒಂದು ದೃಷ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಆರೋಪ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ಆರೋಪಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
I don't know. I come to know only when the department. You see, there may be so many speculations going on, but if I had to say officially, then I had to get information. So I've asked department to give me some information. So far, nobody has told us in the department, nor there is any complaint in the department.
When senior ministers Satish Jarkioli as well as Rajanna, who himself seems to be a victim of honey trap, has disclosed the issue on the floor of the House, and he also demanded Honorable Home Minister Parameshwar, he has demanded to Honorable Home Minister to take up this matter very seriously and proper investigation needs to be carried out. This is a demand made by the concerned minister who is a victim of the honey trap, that is Rajanna.
कौन कर रहा है हनी ट्रैपिंग का किंग पिन कौन है इन्वेस्टमेंट कौन कर रहा है उसका जांच होना चाहिए आरोप किया हुआ आम आदमी नहीं है पत्रकार आरोप किया नहीं आम आदमी आरोप किया नहीं आरोप किया है वरिष्ठ नेता है कांग्रेस सरकार का मिनिस्टर है उसके वजह से सीरियसली जांच होना सीएम को आग्रह करना चाहता हूं आप जांच करने के लिए एक स्पेशल स्क्वाड गठित करिए.
Okay, let's bring in Nagarjun Dwarkanath. He's joining us live from Bengaluru with more details on this. Extremely concerning, Nagarjun, that there are honey trapping attempts being made on ministers and MLAs. Do we have any details really of what was the motive? Did the minister reveal what exactly happened with him?
Akshita, these are all murky waters because it concerns someone's private life as well. So the information has not trickled in completely. But what transpired in assembly is something shocking and bizarre. In one of the cases that the sitting minister stood up in front of the whole house and said there are 48 such people who have been victims of honey trap. They lure the men in the political field, especially ministers and powerful people, and then try to blackmail them later. The minister here is K. Rajanna, who's a corporation minister. He said he would finally lodge an official complaint with the Home Minister, and the Home Minister stood up in the House and said that there would be a high-level inquiry that he would order also. This was just the rumors in the power corridors for the last 1 week, but today the minister himself officially said, yes, I'm the victim. I have been tried to honey trap, and he would officially given a complaint to the Home Minister, and the Home Minister has ordered inquiry, most likely SIT is what we are told. And the BJP, also being the opposition party here, stood up and said, we support K. Rajanna. This is not the way to deal with someone in politics. We should fight with ideologies and try to compete healthily. But putting someone in a honey trap is not done, and we condemn it unitedly, is what BJP also said. For all that MLAs, 224 MLAs across parties agreed also. The Home Minister had to finally make a statement in front of the House saying that he will look into the issue of honey trap and finally see who is behind this whole nexus of honey trap and then blackmail.
You know, is this politically motivated? Is there some personal motive? We don't know just yet. But Nagarjun also, you know, Rajanna, the minister who's been a victim of this honey trapping, has said that there are about 48 leaders' names who are also involved, who have also been honey trapped in this manner. So after he made, in fact, this confession in the assembly that he's a victim, have there been more leaders, netas, who've spoken out from the assembly?
No one has spoken out in the assembly because it concerns their private life, like I mentioned earlier. So people, in fact, walked up to him. I wouldn't want to name people who walked up to him and went up to his ear and whispered in his ear that, am I in this CD? My video is available or not? Am I being honey trapped? These were the questions posed to Mr. Rajanna as well. That was the scenes inside the assembly this afternoon when Mr. Rajanna stood up and spoke. But Rajanna made an exclusive claim also that it was not just Karnataka leaders, but leaders across political parties, including Delhi union leaders, is what Rajanna said, that he has information that 48 such figures who are available in political life have been honey trapped by people.
Shocking, truly. Thanks, Nagarjun, for those details. We'll also await the takeaways once the investigation is completed, largely to understand what was the motive behind this kind of a honey trapping attempt, especially because it's involving a minister. This could have very dangerous repercussions. Let's get you more breaking news coming in. Let's get you now an India Today exclusive news break on the Hubballi rioters who got a clean sheet, remember, from the Karnataka government. Now, here's an interesting twist that's come in. We've accessed letters that confirms that the Karnataka DGP and even the Law Department had actually opposed this clean sheet being given. In fact, the DGP in the letter that he had shot off in 2023 clearly said that this will not set the right precedent, considering the rioters had targeted a police station. Now, that recommendation was ignored by the Siddaramaiah government, which went ahead and pushed for all legal formalities to give that clean sheet anyway. Remember, cases against the Hubballi rioters, including an AIMIM corporator, was in fact withdrawn. They were all let off. This was the 2022 incident which took place in Hubballi, where a police station was targeted. And so the DGP contended that you will be setting a wrong example by shielding the accused when they've targeted the cops, when they've targeted the Karnataka police. That was then endorsed by the Law Department as well. And despite that, the Siddaramaiah government went ahead and authorized that clean sheet.
There is a procedure. Suo moto, nobody will take back the cases. If there is a representation given by MLAs or representatives or institutions, that will be sent to the first to department, then to there is a cabinet subcommittee to look into these kind of things. Even if you give me a representation, I will not take a suo moto decision. I will refer it to the cabinet subcommittee, and cabinet subcommittee, in its wisdom, it will take a decision. And after that also, it will not end there. It will go before the cabinet. Right. Cabinet either accept or reject.
Whatever decision the cabinet has taken, we all abide by it, because the cabinet is the supreme right now. When they've taken a call on certain things, maybe DGP has given his recommendations what needs to be done, but more than that, the cabinet has decided. So once the cabinet has decided, I think we have to abide by that and go with it.
हुबली का 63/2022 में जो केस हुआ था, उसके बारे में पूरा चर्चा हुआ तो वक्त मैंने पूरा डॉक्यूमेंटेशन सदन के सामने रख दिया हूँ. जो ओल्ड हुबली पुलिस स्टेशन है, उसको भी उन्होंने चिट्ठी लिखा था इसके बारे में वापस लेने के लिए, लेकिन उन्होंने भी मना कर दिया. लेकिन पुलिस कमिश्नर ऑफ हुबली धारवाड़, उन्होंने भी मना किया है, और अभियोजक भी मना किया है, और आईजी एंड डीजीपी सब लोग मना करने के बाद भी ये लोग कमेटी में रख के उसको पास करके कैबिनेट में लाके उधर से ये केस को वापस लेने का काम किया है. ये टोटल गलत काम किया है सरकार ने. सरकार इसको एट एनी कॉस्ट इसको अभी और एक बार पुनर्परिशीलन करके रिटर्न ले लेना चाहिए.
Okay, let's bring in Sagai Raj for more details on this exclusive news break. Sagai, you've accessed those letters for us. Clearly, the Karnataka DGP, the Law Department, said that we'd be setting a wrong precedent if we let off these accused who attempted to target the police. And despite that, the Siddaramaiah government went ahead, started off proceedings to ensure clean sheet for all of the accused. What was the reasoning put forth by the Siddaramaiah government, especially now that it's come to the fore that this was something that the top cop of Karnataka didn't agree with?
Absolutely, not only for this, even the DJLE, KJLE violence, even at that point of time, there were suggestions which was been given by both Law Department as well as the Home Department, stating that we should not withdraw the cases. And even we had reported, now we access a letter which is a proof that the Law Department as well as the DGP of Karnataka has recommended that the Karnataka government should not try to withdraw these cases, because this will set a wrong precedent, because people will be scot-free even if they think that even if you do these kind of crime, especially attacking the police station, pelting stones at the police, you will get away easily. But the government has formed a subcommittee and they have withdrawn the cases. Government have justified this particular move, stating that there were many innocents who were been booked in these cases, and these are the innocents will be scot-free. People who are guilty, who have involved in the violence, those are the people who are still facing the cases, and they are still going through all the legal trial in this particular case. But still, the opposition says that this is a wrong precedent, then this sends a message to the people, especially to the vote bank of Congress, stating that even if you attack a police, even if you vandalize a police station, nobody is going to punish you. You're going to get away easily once this particular party comes to power.
Which is the worst kind of precedent to set. We will track the latest that comes in on this, particularly how the Siddaramaiah government chooses now to defend this clean sheet being given to rioters. Thanks very much, Sagai, for joining us with those details. Talking about what's been playing out in Karnataka, particularly in the assembly, remember the Siddaramaiah government did talk about a quota move of 4% reservation for the minority community in government tenders, for government contracts. That bill has been tabled in the Karnataka assembly, and the BJP has now targeted the Siddaramaiah government, saying once again that this is appeasement politics. politics at play. This is vote bank politics. They've claimed that this has been brought with just one singular motive, to appease Muslims. And they've questioned why the Siddaramaiah government didn't work for the upliftment of Muslims before 2014. Now, the Congress has responded to this, saying very clearly that this is minority quota, not just for Muslims, but for all minority communities. Meanwhile, the SC/ST contractors have also sought amendments in the bill, which include a separate provision for them in the quota policy. So you're going to see another level, perhaps, of this particular quota for the SC/STs as well. We'll have to see if the government agrees to the demand to raise the tender eligibility limit from 1 crore to 2 crores.
BJP peoples are anti-SC/STs, anti-OBC peoples, anti-minorities. 4% reservation is for minorities. Minorities means not only Muslims. Under minority, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Bauds, Jain, Parsis, 6 communities will come. Politically, they are making all these things.
There's been provision of about 4% of contracts towards the minority communities as well. You see, I mean, if you want to bring the whole community forward, if you want to bring the state forward as a whole, all communities need to participate in the economic activities of the state as well as social activities of the state. So towards that extent, the inclusive politics which we do in Karnataka, we've also ensured that minorities also have an opportunity to participate in the economic and infrastructure development of the state, which the state participates in. I absolutely see no appeasement in this.
Objections are misconceived because this does not in any way affect the reservation given to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in contracts. In addition to the earlier reservation that the government had provided in contracts to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, we have now mooted a proposal to provide for reservation to backward classes. Now, these backward classes includes category 1, category 2A, category 2B. Therefore, whatever percentage of reservation that the backward classes are entitled to presently in the state of Karnataka, in terms of that percentage of reservation, these backward classes will be entitled in contracts.
I demand Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, he should learn lesson from Chief Minister Umar Abdullah. He has openly appreciated central government, Narendra Modi ji government and Nirmala Sitaram for helping Jammu Kashmir to come out of the economic crisis. So what is the state of affairs in Telangana? His chief minister has admitted that their Telangana government does not have money to pay the salaries of the state government employees. So Karnataka's situation is not too far. Economic situation, financial position of the Karnataka is going from bad to worse. But unfortunately, Siddaramaiah is more busy attacking Narendra Modi ji government rather than addressing the issues here in the Karnataka.
In the Karnataka budget, Siddaramaiah government has made 2 unconstitutional announcements. One is regarding the 4% religion-based reservation for Muslims in government contracts, which is impermissible in the constitutional scheme. And second, a very divisive and a devious policy of allotting 1,000 crore rupees for a policy called Chief Minister's Minority Colony Development Fund. Both these are against the spirit of the Constitution.
Against the very wishes of the Constitution given by Dr. Ambedkar, the Congress government is going ahead and giving a Muslim reservation. This is not what Mr. Ambedkar wanted. Congress government, against the very wishes of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and the Constitution, are going ahead and presenting the bill on the minority reservation. We are going to vehemently oppose that within the Assembly and outside the Assembly.
Let's get you now our next report on a shocking murder in Meerut that everyone's talking about. A woman, Muskan, and her paramour Sahil murdered her husband Saurabh. He lived abroad. The moment he came in a few weeks ago home, they murdered him, dismembered his body, dumped it in that blue drum, and then filled it up with cement. How did all of this come to light? Well, it was Muskan, the accused's parents, who actually told the cops that their daughter had committed this kind of a crime. Details in our report first.
A murder that sent shockwaves across the nation. A wife Muskan and her lover Sahil murder the husband Saurabh, chop his body into pieces and hide it inside a drum and cover it with cement in Uttar Pradesh's Meerut. All because the husband Saurabh stopped Muskan from consuming drugs with her illicit lover. After butchering Saurabh, Muskan and Sahil went on a vacation. Distraught, Muskan's parents say she does not deserve to live and must be hanged.
कुछ अजीब से बिहेव कर रही है लड़की.
पाउडर भी ले रखा है कोई ड्रग्स वगैरह, ये उपलब्ध कराता था ये लड़का. मेरी लड़की कह रही है कि उसने ये कहा कि अब हमें नशे करने को ये मंजूरी नहीं देगा और हम नशे नहीं कर पाएंगे. अब क्या करना है तो उन्हें कहा इसे हटाना पड़ेगा.
Muskan's parents believe her paramour Sahil got her addicted to drugs when their affair began. Now images have emerged of the accused Sahil's room that's filled with bizarre graffiti and some of it resembling satanic symbols as well. Sahil's room was also filled with alcohol bottles.
किस तरीके की सोच थी, क्या अंधविश्वासी सोच थी, ये पुलिस की जांच में ये एंगल भी है. क्योंकि ये आप यहाँ पर जो तमाम तस्वीरें हैं उसको देख करके किसी की मानसिक दशा की स्थिति समझी जा सकती है. इस तरीके के भी कई निशान यहाँ पर बना रखे थे. कई सारी चीजें पुलिस ने यहाँ से बरामद की है. इस टेबल को देख करके भी अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है. अगर इस टेबल को देखेंगे तो देख करके अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है कि किस कदर नशे का आदी था साहिल.
Muskan and Sahil confessed to stabbing Saurabh to death. On the night of March 4th, Muskan laced Saurabh's food with sedatives after luring him on pretext of celebrating her birthday. The duo stabbed Saurabh in the chest with a butcher's knife and then slit his throat. They cut off his hands, hid it in a large plastic drum, cement and sand. Despite a 2-hour effort, police were unable to open the drum due to the hardened cement and had it sent to the mortuary, where the drum was eventually cut open to recover the body.
पुलिस द्वारा जो शव है उसको रिकवर कर लिया गया है. शव को पोस्टमार्टम के लिए मोर्चरी भिजवाया गया है और इसमें जो दोनों ये हैं साहिल और मुस्कान, इन दोनों को हिरासत में ले लिया गया, गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है. परिजनों की तहरीर के आधार पर सुसंगत धाराओं में मुकदमा पंजीकृत कर लिया गया है. अब इन दोनों को ही माननीय न्यायालय के सामने पेश कर आवश्यक विधिक कार्रवाई की जा रही है.
The victim and Muskan's husband Saurabh had told his family he worked in the merchant navy, but he was actually employed at a bakery in London. The incident occurred in Meerut after he recently returned from London. With Himanshu Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
A truly gruesome crime this. That's why everyone's talking about it, simply because of the nature of the crime. And the fact that this woman, Muskan, actually killed her own husband with her paramour, planned it to the T. Why do I say that? Let's get you details of really how this played out. The victim, Saurabh, Muskan's husband, lived in London, would come home every once in a while. And one such visit, in February, they attempted to murder him, didn't work. They actually plotted it, and it didn't happen. So then in March, on March 4th, when he was again in India, his wife, Muskan, drugged his food. Now, they had put some sedative in it, so he immediately became unconscious. Muskan's lover, paramour Sahil, then joined her at their house, at Muskan and Saurabh's house. Saurabh, by this time, was unconscious. While he was unconscious, the accused duo, Muskan and Sahil, stabbed Saurabh to death. And then what to do with the body? They moved it to the washroom of the house and then started dismembering the body. And they did this using a razor, using a knife. So they used what they had available at the residence, didn't buy any sort of equipment to dismember the body. Once they did that, reportedly, Muskan and Sahil tried to stuff the body parts inside a plastic bag. It's almost as if they've seen some sort of crime thriller and decided to replicate it. But they couldn't quite manage to do that. They failed to do it, which is when they came up with Plan B. Plan B was that Muskan went out and purchased a blue drum. And you see these drums, of course, in many construction sites filled with water and whatnot. They filled this drum with Saurabh's body parts, which by this point they'd cut up, sliced up. They put the body parts inside and then filled it up with cement and sand, which is why it was virtually impossible for officials to get to, in fact, the mortal remains of Saurabh, because that had completely solidified. And then after this, Muskan and Sahil went off to Shimla on a holiday. They were there for about 10 days, reportedly even got married there. Now, the allegation from Muskan's family is that Sahil was a drug addict and he got Muskan also into drugs, and that Muskan allegedly committed this crime of murdering her own husband under the influence of drugs. I want to bring in Samarth Srivastava for more details on this. Samarth, there's a lot of course, conspiracy theories about what's been happening. Let's put the focus on one of those images that has come in from the accused's room, from Sahil's room, which seemed to show some sort of satanic symbols. And that's led to speculation that, this is some sort of a black magic crime. Is that true? Is that something the police has confirmed?
Well, exactly, Akshita. There are many theories. Police are confirming, some police are investigating, and there is another theory of the black magic, because what we saw inside the room, the place where Sahil used to live, there were some images which were hinting towards something like black magic. So there are many theories. But one thing is very clear, that this incident has sent shockwaves to the entire nation. How two people, including Sahil and Muskan, planned this proper murder to kill a person who was employed as a bakery worker or as a merchant navy officer. So that's a big thing, because how the daughter of that particular person said that Papa has been dumped inside one particular box. So that's what the words, as per the police sources, we got to know. So this is a very gruesome incident. Also, it's worth mentioning here that Muskan tried to convince Sahil as well that she used to see her mother in dream, and which she clearly says that you have to take that person away from this particular scene, because he was the obstacle between Sahil and Muskan, and that's why both plotted this particular story, this particular incident. It was not the first time when they tried to kill him. Earlier they tried to kill in the last week of February, where they provided some sedatives in the food, but thereafter he did not die. Later, 1 week later, they did this particular thing again when sedatives were provided in the food. When he was in the deep sleep, Muskan called Sahil, and Sahil reached the house, and both together brutally killed him, dismembered the body parts in one particular bin, and composed it with some cement, and then placed it at one particular house.
How did this come to light? Because there's some talk that it was actually Muskan's parents who alerted the police officials. Is that true? Because Muskan allegedly also tried to mislead people, saying that Saurabh, her husband, was killed by his own family.
Well, Akshita, there are two theories. Number one, which you are talking about, is one because the parents from the deceased are claiming that Muskan's mother especially tried to save Muskan by reaching to the advocate and take the matter to the court before police could reach to arrest Muskan. Number one. Number two is a theory that has been that we are getting from the police sources, that the daughter knew about the father, what happened to her father, and how his body has been dumped, and she clearly said that Papa ko us particular area mein daba diya gaya in Hindi, so which translates to that Papa has been dumped in one particular bin. So these are two theories which have been given by the police. Though one thing is very clear, the claims being made by the deceased family that mother of Muskan tried to save her daughter, though the family of Muskan were also saying that she needs to be punished. Whatever she did is not right, is a crime. But yes, the family did try to save her daughter from getting arrested from the police and either reach to the court and surrender before the court. And what we are seeing, that they have already been sent to the 14 days judicial custody.
Well, fortunately, the monsters involved in this crime have been nabbed, fortunately. apparently, and their crime didn't go unnoticed. They tried to cover up. They tried to ensure nobody would find out, but the cops have cracked this case. They are currently in custody. Thanks very much, Samarth, for joining us with those details. Let's talk about now a story that caught our eye here on Super 6 of a judge in the Allahabad High Court who deemed an assault, seemingly an attempt to rape of an 11-year-old, as mere sexual assault. And let me give you details first of the incident. We're talking about a minor, an 11-year-old who was returning from a relative's home. The accused men offered a lift to the victim. According to the case, the allegations here, now these accused grabbed the 11-year-old's chest, they grabbed her breasts. Her pajama string was broken. They tried to drag her beneath a culvert, and then passers-by had intervened and stopped anything further from happening. There seems to be a clear-cut attempt to rape case. And yet, here's what the judge has said. This is the Allahabad High Court judge. He said that groping a minor's breasts is not rape. Breaking minor's pajama strings isn't rape. These are what exactly the court has said. Dragging minor beneath the culvert is not rape. There was no attempt to penetrate victim. Now, all of this adds up because penetration is defined as rape. But why is it not attempt to rape? The judge says that charges qualify for aggravated sexual assault and not for rape. Now, the judge has also said here that no charge has been made by the victim that she was undressed or naked, despite the fact that her pajama string was removed. Her pajamas weren't removed, so on that technicality, this is not rape or attempt to rape. And obviously, it's led to so many questions right now about what qualifies as rape, what qualifies as attempt to rape. So we thought we'll break that down for you, explain it as to what the legal definition is of sexual harassment, of aggravated sexual assault, attempt to rape, and then rape. First is sexual harassment or molestation. This is, of course, any physical contact, advances, explicit sexual overtures without the consent of the victim. All of that falls under sexual harassment. Then you have aggravated sexual assault. Now, the term aggravated sexual assault is very specific to POCSO cases, to when the victim is a minor. It means outraging the modesty of the minor victim, which could be also removing his or her clothes. So that is aggravated sexual assault. Above that, attempt to rape. Now, when is a case deemed by a judge as attempt to rape? The intent is clearly established that it was an attempt to commit rape. There was an attempt to penetrate. If that can be established, and obviously it's a gray area, we'll talk about that. But if that's established, then the attempt to rape charge is slapped on the accused. Rape, of course, is when there is penetration of any form. It's committed, obviously, without consent. And in this case, you have the rape charge being slapped against the accused. Now, you look at the details that have emerged of what happened in this Kasganj case with this 11-year-old. The details of how her breasts were grabbed, how she was dragged into a culvert, a pajama string was pulled out. It's not rape because there was no penetration based on the definition I showed you. But how is this not attempt to rape? And so, is this just a subjective verdict based on the judge of the Allahabad High Court? Is this based on his view? Or is this a loophole, a lacune in a law which needs to be addressed? How do you go ahead and prove an attempt? How do you prove attempt to rape? This particular case has thrown up that question as well about whether this is a very gray area that needs to be defined. I want to bring in our legal editor, Nalini Sharma, for more details on this. This has opened up a huge debate, Nalini, on social media. Everyone's talking about this particular case and how, looking at the details that have emerged, this should have perhaps been an attempt to rape case. But, you know, the question that I asked earlier, how do you really prove attempt to rape? Is this, a subjective verdict, or is this really a loophole, a gray area in the law?
Well, Akshita, we can talk about this particular case, and the reasoning that has been given by the judge in this case is that there was no evidence to prove that there was, in fact, any attempt to rape that had happened in this case. Why did he say that? The reasoning specifically was that, number one, there was no proof to say that they had penetrated the minor victim in any manner, along with the fact that there were no allegations also made by the woman or the minor victim stating that there was an attempt to penetrate any of of her body organs in any manner. They also go on to say that the accused themselves were not undressed, which goes on to prove that it might be a case of aggravated sexual assault, but cannot specifically be said to be an attempt to rape. And lastly, what the court stated is that the evidence in this case that the court has seen, after seeing the facts of the case and analyzing the evidence, they've come to the conclusion that it's not enough to prove that there was an attempt to rape, because there has to be an attempt for penetration to happen for an attempt to rape to be proved. So this was a reasoning given by this court. At the same time, they've said that the summons should be issued and the accused should be tried for aggravated sexual assault. But in this case, the court ruled that this is not going to amount to an attempt to rape or rape in the case, even though the victim was a minor.
Okay, Nalini, thanks for breaking that down for us, because, you know, there's so much talk and confusion about what really is the circumstances of this case, why the judge ruled in the manner that he did. But this perhaps is going to be a larger debate as well. Thanks for joining us, Nalini, because this issue has now reached the Supreme Court. Let's get your details on that. You've got a senior lawyer now shooting off a letter to the Chief Justice on the Allahabad High Court ruling, essentially seeking that the Supreme Court takes suo motu cognizance of this particular case and pass a ruling that this is an attempt to rape case. In fact, the lawyer has actually asked for the removal of the Allahabad High Court judge, saying that his approach was insensitive and irresponsible. Now, this senior lawyer has essentially written in her letter to the CJI that the interpretation by the judge is erroneous and that his approach to the entire subject of sexual assault, attempt to rape, whatever it was, is insensitive, irresponsible, and sends across a very bad message for the society at large. Listen in to what she said.
The top court, Supreme Court in this case, should take suo motu cognizance. Will you be taking any action or mentioning this before court?
See, we are seriously disturbed. When I read the news reports, we were so shattered. Then I took out the judgment, and judgment was far more worrisome. If the High Court judges are making these observations, if this is the interpretation of law, this is seriously concerning to us, the female lawyers and the female of this country. This girl says he groped his breast, he took out the string of the lower garment, stretching her under a culvert. What else the judge wanted in addition to that to happen? So to say, this is an attempt to commit rape.
So like I said, this has opened up a larger debate on how do you prove, define attempt to rape. And in some cases, does our judiciary also lack sensitivity? It's a larger debate that we will continue to talk about here on India Today. That's all we have time for in this edition of Super 6. Thanks very much for tuning in.